What camera and lens should I use for my long-term time-lapse project? With so many cameras on the market, it's important to consider which one makes the most sense for your project. By the end of this video, we will have walked through the different camera and lens options that you are confident to make that final decision. Now, the first thing to consider with your camera and lens setup is reliability. So there are two primary brands that have been tried and true over thousands and thousands of projects since the beginning of long-term time-lapse, and those are Canon and Nikon. Reliability is critical to your success because you need to make sure that these cameras are going to take photos throughout the duration of your project. So for your long-term time-lapse project, we recommend that you use Canon or Nikon.
Yeah, and a quick word on Sony. If Canon and Nikon are the workhorses of long-term time-lapse proven over many years, Sony is the dark horse, if you like. That is, we just don't know yet how reliable Sonys are going to be over months, years of shooting. It's not to say they won't be, but it just hasn't really been tested out in the field. Now, we know Sony is rising very fast in popularity. Our R&D team are working on getting the Photo Sentinel system compatible with Sony. We're not there yet, but by the time you watch this video, we may be there, so check in. But still, if you're looking for reliability, then Canon and Nikon have been proven over the test of time. Now, as a professional photographer, maybe a time-lapse photographer, you're going to be used to shooting your time-lapses with a full frame like this. But I'm going to go through why that may not be the best option for your long-term time-lapse project. So firstly, cost. You're going to be locking this camera in a box up a pole for months, if not years on end. Can you or your client really afford to put $4,000 worth of equipment up in that box for that project? At the end of that project, your $4,000 piece of equipment is going to be well and truly superseded. It may not have high value on the resale market. Is that an investment that you're willing to make for this time-lapse project? The second reason to consider not using a full frame is image quality and resolution. At the end of the project, you're going to be pumping out a video that's 1080, maybe 4K. Do you really need 50 megapixel photos to build that video? And of course, if you are taking 50 megapixel photos, they're going to be big files. Can your client afford to be uploading those over the cloud, thousands of them across the project? And then lastly, is your client going to notice the difference? This is the harsh reality for those of us in the creative industry, is that we'll notice the difference, but the clients may not. Will they notice the difference between a $4,000 piece of equipment, between a full frame camera and a $1,000 setup with a crop sensor? The chances are, on the final time-lapse video, they're not going to notice any different. And this is particularly the case because with long-term time-lapse, the quality of the video is fundamentally based on the quality of the post-production, not the quality of the photos that are going into it. So for all these reasons, I would recommend, first off, not considering a full frame unless that really is a requirement of your client, and instead to look at going for a crop sensor. But of course, there are reasons you may want to use a full frame. Maybe your project is happening mostly at night, you want the low light capabilities, you want the higher dynamic range. There are a range of reasons why a full frame is a good option. But if you are using a full frame, just make sure you check the length of the camera and lens combination. You may need a different housing from the standard one to fit it all in.
So taking all this into consideration, we recommend using a standard entry-level DSLR Canon or Nikon. These are the cameras that have been used over thousands of projects out in the field. So we've talked about camera bodies, now let's go ahead and talk about lenses. Now typically on a long-term time-lapse project, you're going to be very close to the subject, so you're going to want a wide-angle lens. So if you're going to be using one of these bodies that we recommend that are crop sensor, then I'd recommend using the Sigma 10 to 20 millimeter wide-angle lens. Some of our customers also like the Tokina. That will do the job for you.
Now, there is one thing to look out for when choosing a lens for long-term time-lapse, and that is to pick a lens that has a manual focus ring, not a lens with an electronic focus ring. With the manual mechanical focus ring, you can wrap some tape around it, secure it in that exact focus position, and you know you're set for the lifetime of the project. With an electronic ring, however, because it acts like a switch, each time you turn the camera off and on, off and on, off and on again, there's a chance that the camera sends a shoot of electricity out to that lens and actually adjusts that focus ring. And we've seen some of those lenses out on the field adjust focus just for intermittent photos here and there, and that obviously renders that photo completely useless. Now, it doesn't always happen. The Fujis that we use in our mini system have an electronic focus ring, and we've never seen them do it. But other lenses with an electronic focus ring we've seen have that focus consistency problem. So when you're choosing a lens, make sure you pick one with a manual mechanical focus ring. Both these lenses that we recommend are a manual focus ring.
So in conclusion, there might be some circumstances where a full frame camera makes sense, but for most projects, entry-level DSLR, Sigma lens, that's the setup that you'll need.